The current of the Mara River was a merciless thief, robbing the last of Jack's strength. His research boat had capsized in the rapids upstream, and he had been struggling against the surging current for nearly an hour. His arms trembled with fatigue, his lungs burned with every breath, and the muddy shoreline, just yards away, felt as unreachable as the stars. The river was pulling him under, cold and relentless. As his head slipped beneath the churning brown water, a crushing sense of finality hit him. This was it. The end. Then, something seized him. A massive force clamped onto the sleeve of his blue rain jacket, yanking him not downward, but sideways, toward land. He burst above the surface, gasping, coughing up water. That's when he saw it. A lion. A full-grown male, majestic and powerful, was crouched on the bank, muscles straining, one enormous paw hooked firmly into Jack's jacket, dragging him inch by inch from the river's grip. Jack couldn't believe it. The lion pulled with fierce resolve until Jack's boots caught in the soft, soggy earth. With the last of his strength, Jack crawled onto the bank and collapsed in the grass, shaking and breathless. He lay there, stunned, every breath a struggle. Slowly, he turned his head to face the lion. The animal stood just a few feet away, tail still twitching, watching him. Not like a predator sizing up prey, but something else, something curious. Its head was slightly tilted, amber eyes fixed on Jack with a look of strange, almost human intelligence. Then Jack saw it. Just beneath the lion's thick golden mane, around the neck, a faint silvery line, a scar. And in that instant, his heart stopped. "Duke," he whispered, his voice cracked with disbelief. "Duke, is that you?" To understand the miracle unfolding on that savannah bank, we need to rewind 8 years. Back when Jack was a bright-eyed veterinarian student from Oregon, he had taken a volunteer position at a struggling wildlife rescue in Kenya. The orphanage specialized in rehabilitating animals impacted by poaching. His very first case, a lion cub, half-starved, terrified, and caught in a steel snare left by hunters. The wire had dug deep into his neck. He was in pain, lashing out at anyone who came near. The staff called him hopeless, but not Jack. He named the cub Duke, after a childhood dog that had once protected him from a bear on a camping trip. And just like then, Jack didn't give up. For weeks, he sat beside Duke's cage, talking to him, never forcing contact. He'd read books aloud, hum old songs his mother used to sing, and sometimes just sit in silence, letting the cub get used to his presence. Eventually, Jack left the cage door open and lay down nearby. One day, Duke crept out, sniffed Jack's boot, and then gently licked his hand. That was the beginning. Their bond deepened. Jack nursed Duke back to health, cleaned his wound daily, and fed him from bottles. The scar on Duke's neck faded, but never disappeared. Jack taught him to play, to stalk toy prey, and Duke in return would greet him each morning with a low, rumbling purr and a playful nudge. But from the beginning, their time was finite. The sanctuary's goal was always to reintroduce animals into the wild. When Duke reached adolescence, stronger and more confident, he was selected for a bold rewilding project in a protected savanna reserve. On the day they took him away, Jack pressed his forehead against the young lions, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Goodbye, buddy. Be brave out there." Jack never thought he'd see him again. And now, years later, here he was, standing tall on the riverbank, his golden coat streaked with dust, his scar still visible like a thread from the past. A lion transformed, but unmistakably the same soul. Duke stepped closer and let out a soft chuff, a lion's version of a greeting. He nudged Jack's shoulder with his head, just as he had so many mornings at the orphanage. Jack's throat tightened with emotion. But before the reunion could fully unfold, something shifted in the air. This is where the narrative spike begins. A sharp, metallic click echoed from the acacia trees behind them. Duke froze, instantly alert, spinning to face the noise. His massive body positioned itself between Jack and the trees, a low growl building in his throat. Two men emerged from the bush. Poachers. They were armed, lean and cold-eyed, the kind who see a lion not as a living soul, but a prize to be mounted. "Well, well," he sneered, lifting his rifle. "Looks like we get a bonus today." Jack's stomach dropped. He was injured, defenseless, and exposed, but Duke didn't flinch. He roared, a deafening, furious sound that made the ground tremble. It wasn't just a territorial warning, it was protective, a roar that said, "This human is mine." The poachers hesitated, rattled by the sight of a lion defending a man. The second one whispered something urgently, but the first aimed his rifle. Jack tried to rise, but his legs gave out. He screamed, waving an arm to distract them. Too late. Then, Duke moved. He didn't charge straight on. Instead, he leapt sideways, crashing into a half-rotten tree trunk by the river's edge. The log rolled with surprising speed, striking the poachers in the legs. One fell hard, his rifle flying from his hands. The other stumbled, trying to aim again. But Duke was already in motion. He didn't maul them. He didn't need to. He rushed past with a burst of speed, close enough for them to feel the heat and wind of his body, and unleashed another roar directly beside their heads. The message was clear. Leave. Now. Panicked and disoriented, the poachers scrambled away, abandoning their gear and disappearing into the brush. Silence fell. Duke returned to Jack's side and nudged him softly. Jack wrapped his arms around the massive lion's neck, tears mixing with river water on his cheeks. "You saved me," he whispered, voice breaking. "Twice." Duke stayed there, his breathing slow and calm, watching over Jack like a guardian of old. Hours later, the sound of a rescue helicopter rumbled through the air. Jack's emergency beacon had worked. As it descended, Duke rose, looked at Jack one final time, and gave him a rough lick on the cheek. Then, with the grace of royalty, he turned and disappeared into the tall grass, back into his kingdom. When the rescue team found Jack, they were speechless. Giant paw prints, torn gear, signs of a struggle, and a story that no one would ever truly believe. But Jack knew the truth. Somewhere out in the savannah, a lion remembered. And that lion still watches over the riverbank, they say. A silent king with a scarred neck and amber eyes, guarding the spot where he once repaid a debt, not with teeth, but with love. Thank you for listening. If you want more stories like this one, raw, wild, and real, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep these memories alive.